Welcome, Stache. There's another episode of Stache Sports. Right now, there's no huge Steelers breaking news, but if there is, I might either do an episode tomorrow about it or have another part 2 of late breaking news about the Steelers signing somebody else, or if there's any Steelers news, I might do another episode. But right now, as of this video airing at 2:05 p.m. Eastern Time, there is no Steelers news right now. If I have found out yet, if I happen to find out some Steelers news during this video, then I will be able to pass along later or do a part 2 or just do tomorrow's video on Saturday's video for the weekend. But right now, there's no new Steelers news right now. There's no new Steelers news, but the Chicago Bears made some news today. Hey, Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears take a significant step toward leaving Illinois on Friday. Oh no, where are they going to go? Where are the Bears going to go? Also, Stashers, in today's episode, we'll get back to this in a minute, we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup game. Did the Vegas Golden Knights take a 2-0 commanding lead, or did Carolina come back? We'll talk about that wild game and wild finish. Also, we'll do a recap on MLB and talk about MLB games. Did the Pirates win the series? I guess we'll have to wait and find out in the rest of this episode to see what happens with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Or did they blow it again like they did? Or did they blow it again like they did on Game 2? Or were they able to win it on Jerry Jones' day? Was Jerry Jones able to get his first win of the season? We'll have to wait and find out. Did Carmen Majewski play? We'll have to wait and find out when I talk about that later in the video. Also, we'll talk about, like I said, the Stanley Cup. We'll recap that game and see if Vegas took a commanding 2-0 lead, or if Carolina was able to equal one out in Carolina and tie the series at 1 game apiece. Also, we'll talk about the Women's College World Series, about what Texas school won the finals. We'll also talk about the NBA games tonight and talk about the College Baseball World Series going on right now, the playoffs. But first, we're going to talk about the NFL and the NFL news. Breaking news. The Chicago Bears are either closer to moving the stadium to Northwest Indiana. Indiana, that's not even Illinois. That's a different state altogether. Would they still be the Chicago Bears? Is it like how the New Jersey Giants and New Jersey Jets are in New York? I mean, the New York Giants and New York Jets, but they're technically each right for New Jersey? Or like how the Washington Redskins or get Washington Commanders now are in Landover, Maryland, and not Washington, D.C. I guess that could be it, and they would have changed it to keep the name of the Bears. But that's interesting that Chicago, that Democratic city, didn't fork up enough money for them to build a new stadium in Chicago or build Soldier Field. Soldier Field is an iconic stadium and one of the older stadiums in the NFL today. I mean, I know they need a new stadium, but it's interesting that Chicago didn't try to put more effort in having them stay in the Chicago-based area. The Bears Board of Directors voted Thursday, which is yesterday, because today's Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. But today's Friday. The Adventure Stadium development in Harmon, Indiana. The exact site will be determined. This is the first time that the Bears Board has voted on any stadium site. The Bears plan to leave the state they called home since their inception. The Bears have been in Chicago since the beginning, and not like one of these teams like the Los Angeles Rams who moved to St. Louis and moved back to Los Angeles, or some of these other teams that are moving around, or like the Cleveland Browns, or the Baltimore Ravens who used to be the Cleveland Browns, who moved from Cleveland to Baltimore, or Indianapolis Colts who moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis. Indiana too. So now Indiana, I guess, will have 2 teams to root for if this becomes official, and the league votes on this and becomes official. I guess Indiana would have 2 teams in the state. But let's go back to that. Some just days after the end of Illinois' spring legislative session, we believe a world-class stadium project in Harmon will transform the region, connecting northwest Indiana and the south side of Chicago. I guess it's close. Approval loop and across the neighborhoods and stretching north of the city, the Bears chairman George H. McCaskey CEO Kevin Warren said in a statement. The Bears' announcement on Friday does not guarantee that the team will leave Illinois per league story, while Indiana is in the lead to lure the Bears across the state lines to build a dome stadium. Why are everybody building a dome stadium? Football is not supposed to be played indoors. It's supposed to be played outdoors. Darn it. That's what the games you really like to watch. The snow games, the games that are really affected by the snow. I mean, I know it might affect the game and it might affect people's betting, but who gives a shit about that? Excuse my language. But who cares about that? I like watching the snow games in Buffalo when all the snow's on the ground, or in Pittsburgh if it's snowing too and all the snow's on the ground, and watch them try to fight through that. And sometimes in Buffalo, there's a lot more snow since it's on the lake affects snow. And I like watching the snow games in Buffalo and watching the weather affect it. I mean, it makes it hard for the kicker and for the people to do it than being in a conditioned dome where the temperature is controlled and there's no weather effects. I mean, that's the beauty of football and sports. I mean, I get it in baseball. If it's going to snow a lot or rain a lot, like in Tampa and Miami, you might want to have a stadium because you can't really play in the rain. But in football, they don't really care about playing elements unless there's lightning. I mean, if it's lightning, then they have to call a game because that's due to safety reasons. But that's due to safety reasons because of lightning, and then have to call it a game or delay the game because of lightning. But I mean, that's what football is known for. Football is known for the gritty outdoor experiment. I mean, I get it. If you're a fan, you might not want to sit in below 0 degrees, but people still come out and support those teams if they're doing good and watch those games when it's really cold. So I think it's going to ruin football. And yes, I get it. If we're going to build a new stadium, our stadium, the other reason you want a dome, which I think is dumb, because they don't want the Super Bowl to be affected by the weather, is you can get a Super Bowl in Chicago or against Harmon, Indiana, if they move to Harmon, Indiana because of the dome stadium, and they can close the dome so it won't be affected by the winter. I mean, I know they had a couple times in New York, but I don't think it, or New Jersey, I guess, but I don't think it really affected them in New Jersey when they had the Super Bowl there. But that's one reason why Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Chicago, and all, Buffalo, and all these north cities haven't got a Super Bowl. I mean, I know sometimes they might want to go to nicer stadiums, and Buffalo Stadium was as nice as it is now, the new stadium. But that's some reason why they don't go all these arenas. And you see them playing in Jacksonville, Tampa, Miami, New Orleans, anywhere that has a dome, because they want to have a nice air-conditioned Las Vegas, they want to have a nice game and not have to be affected by weather. So both teams are equally matched, and they can't say, oh, the Packers won because it was a snow game and they're playing the Texans who play in the doors or whatever. That's why the Packers won. Maybe it's because the Packers are better or whatever, or the other team was better. But I get it. You don't want to really have it. I get it. They don't want to have a snow. They don't really want to have a snow game because it might not. All these rich celebrities that can afford the tickets, and rich people that can afford these tickets might not come to the game if it's below 0 and freezing. They might not want to sit out there in the elements. But I mean, that's what football is. But I guess I get it. They're going to build a dome stadium. But we'll get back to that. Sorry for my little rant. The Bears announced. Illinois can still go back in the race after building a dome stadium. They probably still build a dome stadium in Chicago or somewhere in the West. Matt Hill, the spokesman of Illinois Governor J.B. Pilser, said constant shifting by the Bears has hindered progress toward the stadium deal. The Bears have built a storied legacy in Illinois for over 100 years, but have spent the last 6 years, and especially the last 5 months, shifting their position on stadium location. It's been hindered their progress, Hill said in a statement. Today, it appears to be another instance that Illinois leaders have been working with the Bears to good faith, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The Bears currently Soldier Field, a stadium where they put in which they owned by the city of Chicago, runs for 2033. We look forward to building a partnership as strong as the 85 Bears defense. I mean, they haven't been that good for quite a while. Building our stadium with the Bears organization for decades to come. The perversion, but the lack of financial potential move to Indiana Oakland Bears to the great state of Indiana. So that's going to be interesting if the Bears do move to Harmon, Indiana. But let's see, how far is Harmon, Indiana from Chicago? Oh, so it's not that far. So I guess it is just like how the New Jersey. It's just like how New Jersey, or the New York Giants and New York Jets play in East Stratford, New Jersey, even though that's a different state, but still called the New York Giants and New York Jets. Because by Google searching, by how long it would take you to drive from Hammond, Indiana to Chicago, Illinois, the driving distance from Chicago, Illinois is about 20 to 28 miles. For most trips, taking about 30 to 30 minutes under normal traffic conditions. So it's not that far. So I guess it's not that far. It's just like I said, if the Bears, like the Jets and Giants and Redskins, who play in different cities, even though they're called Washington Redskins and they play in whatever. And they play in Maryland. Mayfield contract talks nowhere near close with the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, hey, how much does corn cost in Tampa Bay? A Buccaneer. How much does corn cost in Tampa Bay? A Buccaneer. Tampa Bay, Florida, speaking publicly for the first time this offseason, Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield said that the contract extension talks are not nowhere near close to what they were thinking, and that it's time to get something done long term. I mean, Baker Mayfield has really turned around his career in Chicago. I can't believe how good he is. I mean, he did lead the Cleveland Clowns to beat the Steelers in the playoffs, and the Clowns said, bye-bye, and he did go a couple other places and was a backup. It didn't look like he could be a good starter again, but for some reason, when he went to the Buccaneers, he turned his career around. It looked like a real good starter. I'm really happy for Baker Mayfield that he's turned his career around and was able to do good with Todd Bowles and company in Tampa Bay. And Bruce Arians, I think. I don't know if Bruce Arians was his coach. I could be mistaken about that. But was able to turn his career around at Tampa Bay Buccaneers and look like a good starter. I mean, Baker Mayfield is one of these good classic starters now. And the Cleveland Clowns, who need a quarterback each year, probably should have kept more onto him. But I'm glad he's out of the AFC North because he's looking like a real good quarterback. And if he doesn't play for the Steelers, I'm glad he's not playing against us in the AFC North. But congratulations to Tampa. Let's hope we can get a long-term contract with Tampa because he's well worth it. He's definitely turned his career around and looking a lot better since his move to Tampa Bay than when he's in Cleveland. But I think Cleveland's where quarterback's going to die. And I think Tampa Bay just has a better management and better offensive line and better receivers to make any quarterback good. But, I mean, Baker Mayfield is looking really good. But let's get back to the Baker Mayfield story. General manager Jason Litch has said multiple times this offseason that there isn't a specific timeline that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are working off. But Mayfield said that his agent Tom Mills provided one by training camp, which will open in late July. So we'll keep our stashers and our stashers updated. Because I know some of my stashers, like Brandon Johnson, is a big Buccaneers fan, so keep you updated. But I think Baker Mayfield is worth the contract extension, and I think his money well needed to Baker Mayfield and well deserved. Obviously, yes, I would love to have a long-term deal done, but they know about my deadline as soon as the training camp starts. We're not doing any contract stuff. It's all ball. That's good. We need Baker Mayfield to play ball and not have a holdout and get chemistry with his receivers because they lost Mike Evans. I mean, still have Chris Godwin. And they still have Mega Ibuka. I mispronounced his first name, but Ibuka. And some of these other receivers in K-Dot. So he needs to keep getting the chemistry going good with them. And they got now Kenneth Gainwell, excuse me. Said, it's not up to me when this gets done, but so hopefully before that is not still going on to have a good year. That's true. That's what Baker Mayfield said. Mayfield is entering his third year of a 3-year contract extension signed for 2024. Geez, didn't realize he's been for the Buccaneers that long. I mean, he's really been good for the Buccaneers. He's led them a couple playoff games, maybe a couple playoff wins, but he's been really good for the Buccaneers. We would love to be here long term, and as of right now, that's not exactly the case. I'm under contract until 2026, Mayfield said, and the guys in the locker room and staff know I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to do everything I can do to help this team win. Win a Super Bowl. That's good. That's a can-do attitude that the Buccaneers fans want to hear. I mean, I wish we had him, not Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers is still a good quarterback. He's just older, and Baker Mayfield's a lot younger and could build a future around him. Mayfield and Emily just welcomed their second child, Maverick, this offseason. They became fixtures in the Tampa Bay community, supporting local diaper banks. That's nice. And early childhood learning programs, donating equipment to a high school football team, and awarding college scholarships to walk-on athletes. But Mayfield is averaging $34.3 million a year. Geez, that's not a lot for Mayfield. 16th in league terms of quarterback play. I mean, I guess that is a decent 16th out of 32. It should be noted, however, the fellow journeyman quarterback Sam Darnold, who just won a Super Bowl, is making $33.5 million, but Mayfield wants to be rewarded long-term security. I think first and foremost, regardless if we both built roots in Tampa, but Mayfield said, we love the community and we love to be here. Embraces them. So that's nice, but hope Baker Mayfield can get a contract. If you want to read more of it, you can go on ESPN, like I was reading it. But I gotta get on to the next stuff. Uh-oh. Somebody else got busted. Woo! Denver Broncos linebacker Jonathan Cooper arrested on domestic violence charges. Oh no, that is not good if you're a Broncos fan. Inglewood, Colorado. Denver Broncos outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper was arrested early Friday morning on domestic violence charges. Uh-oh. According to the jail records, Cooper was being held at the Douglas County, Colorado jail in suspicion of criminal mischief with a domestic violence enhancer. Someone just told ESPN that the arrest came after an argument and physical conversation between Cooper and his girlfriend over cell phones. Jeez, rich people, stop bitching over your cell phones and fighting. In fact, the phones were damaged in the incident. Well, they probably threw the phones at each other. According to records, Cooper was arrested by Parker police at 11:16 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday and formally booked into the Douglas County Jail at 2:38 a.m. Jeez, that's a long-ass processing on Friday to get arrested by a police at 11:16 p.m. and to be booked at 2:38 p.m. What do? Take him out to dinner? At 11 a.m. Friday, Cooper was still in custody and he appeared in court Friday morning and scheduled to appear in court again on Monday. Uh-oh. I guess he won't be practicing this weekend. We are aware of the matter, getting more information. Cooper is set to enter his 6th season with the Broncos and his second team with 8 sacks and 2 Denver set a franchise record for sacks, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I talked yesterday about Christian Watson's contract extension. Now we're going on to the next sport. Last night, between the first 2 periods, it looked like the Las Vegas Golden Knights were going to take a commanding 2-0 lead over the Carolina Hurricanes. But yet, do you know it? In the third period, Carolina scored 1 goal. And then like 2 minutes later, they scored 2 goals, tying at 2 goals apiece. And later on, the Las Vegas Golden Knights challenged the play and got it overturned. And then they win it. So that means in hockey, if you challenge a play and stop play, the other team is awarded power play, which means one of the guys has to go off and go into the sin bin because they paused the game and wasted the time. But if you win the challenge, then you don't get the penalty. But if you lose the challenge, I guess that's a way of, like, in football, if you lose the challenge, you lose the timeout. I guess that's a way of punishing you if you lose the challenge. So that's why they don't really challenge that much in hockey, because if you lose it, the other team goes on the power play. So then, when the other team was on the power play, Carolina scored, making 3-2. Oh no, you thought that game was over. Nope, don't close your eyes and go to sleep quite yet, because with 1 minute left in the period, with 1 minute and 32 left in the period, Las Vegas Golden Knights took out the goaltender to get an extra man on the ice. They can take out the goaltender in hockey, and you can get an extra man on the ice to have an advantage, because they have no goaltender, but that means the other team can score empty netters, which means that they can score on you, because there's nobody blocking the net. It's an empty netter in hockey terms, an empty netter. But since they did that, they didn't do that, so they tied the game going in overtime. And who would win? Would it be Carolina? Would they win in overtime? Both teams going into overtime were undefeated, but one of those teams was going to be one loss in these playoff overtimes. That's quite impressive that both teams are undefeated in the playoffs, but one of these teams had to lose, because that's how hockey works and playoffs work. But the Carolina Hurricanes won 4-3 on yet another power play goal, and this time it was scored by, we'll get into that in a minute. But the Carolina Hurricanes won 4-3 in overtime. They came back and scored 3 unanswered goals in the first period, 3 goals in the third period, 2 unanswered and 1 answered by another goal. But that's quite impressive. I thought for sure that game was going to be over. I mean, it looked like with 7 minutes left, I think it was still 2-0, and then the next thing you know, it was 2-2, and it was tied. The next thing you know, it was 3-2, and 3-3, and when overtime, it was 4-3. That was a wild finish in a wild third period to a game that looks like it's going to be Vegas's, and Vegas is going to take a 2-hold commanding lead. But Carolina said not so fast, and Carolina Hurricanes have evened up the series at 1 game apiece. Brett Holden had both goals for the Vegas Golden Knights in period 1 and period 2 at 13:33 and 7:29. 13:33, they do the clock backwards, so that's the first part of the period, and 7:20. You know, 10 minutes and 20 seconds in the third period, Logan Stache scored for the Carolina Hurricanes, making it 2-1. Carolina's coming back. And then Mark Janikowski scored, assisted by William Carter and Eric Robinson, making it 2-2. Oh no, now we're tied. Wow, what a hockey game, I said. And then Jordan Staal on the power play. And for those who don't know, Jordan Staal used to play for the Pittsburgh Penguins long back when, and won a Stanley Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins, so maybe he'd be able to win one now, but tied the game at 3. And then, with 15 minutes in the third period, and then with a couple minutes left to go in the third period, 1 minute left to go in the third period, Las Vegas Golden Knights was the extra man tied it up with Mark Stone, assisted by Mitch Marner and Thomas Herschel, making it 4-4. Or 3-3, excuse me, I can't read. And the Seth Jarvis with 3 minutes to go and then they got a power play early in the period of a tripping call by Vegas. So that means the Carolina Hurricanes went on man advantage. But the Carolina Hurricanes power play has not been good, even though they scored one on the power play before, but it hasn't been good. But they were good last night on the power play. They get 3 minutes to go with 3 minutes out of the first period, because the clock goes up to 20. So it goes from 1 minute, 2 minutes, to 20 minutes. That's how the clock works in hockey. It goes up instead of down. So 3 minutes and 50 seconds in the third period, Seth Jarvis, 4th goal in playoffs, assisted by Shane Gladstone and Sebastian Aho, made it 4-3, and everybody in Carolina went bonkers because the Carolina Hurricanes tied the series. I mean, I was watching the game, and I was watching the Pirates game, and we'll get to that here in a minute, but I was like, oh, this game's easy. So I put it on double screen, and the next thing I know, the game was tied at 2, and then 3, and then tied at 3 again, and go to overtime. So I stayed up to watch the overtime, and it wasn't that long, but the Carolina Hurricanes, congratulations to Carolina Hurricanes. They evened up the series like I called last night. So congratulations to Carolina Let's see what happens in Game 4 or 3 tomorrow. But that'll be on tomorrow's episode of Stache Sports. For those of you who have been watching hockey or been watching my episodes, the Carolina Hurricanes and Las Vegas Golden Knights are tied at 1 game apiece because Carolina is still undefeated in the playoffs, in the playoff overtimes, and won 4-3. And Carolina has not, and I think they said at the beginning of the game, Carolina only lost back-to-back games once this season, so they avoided that too by having a major comeback in the third period and end up winning it in the fourth in the overtime period. Congratulations to Carolina and the Carolina fans. But that was quite the game, a quite ending, which I like as an average hockey fan. That's the only thing I really like, is to have good games and not have blowouts. Last night, the Pittsburgh Pirates were able to salvage the series to win 5-1. Raise the Jolly Roger, let's go Bucks. They should have swept the Houston Astros, but oh well, we'll take 2 out of 3. It wasn't for a bullpen that's blown so many saves. I mean, if the Pirates bullpen was average or even better, the Pirates could be so much better than they are right now and have such a better record if it wasn't for the bullpen blowing all these games. But the Pirates are what they are. But I mean, they're still a lot better than they have been in years past. It's just their bullpen. She's Craig. The bullpen hasn't been doing so good. But the Pirates won 5-1 last night. Jared Jones got the win. O'Harn single. Really like having O'Harn. Reynolds single to center. Law scored. O'Harn home run. Jeez, so glad O'Harn's back. Gonzalez scored in the air and Trier safe at first. And Padres had a home run. Carmen just came in. Luckily, Carmen just came in and looked really good for the bullpen. Hopefully, Carmen just can keep looking good for the bullpen. So that's something the Pirates need, is a good bullpen arm. I mean, I know he's a good starter, but if he can do good in the bullpen, that might really help build some of these characters up and help our bullpen do a lot better, not blow over the saves, and have one of the most blown saves in the whole National League. The Orioles beat the Red Sox yesterday. I already said that one. The Blue Jays beat the Braves. The Cubs beat the Athletics. The Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers. The Phillies beat the Padres. The Giants beat the Brewers. And the Royals beat the Twins. Today's games. Please. The Cubs are tied with 0. I think the Cubs are going to win that game. It's delayed. I think the Yankees will beat the Red Sox. I think the Orioles will beat the Blue Jays. I think the Marlins will beat the Rays. The Rays will beat the Marlins. Scratch that. Rays will beat the Marlins. I think the Pirates will beat the Braves. I don't believe a lot of flack from my Braves fans, but I think the Pirates will win tonight. I think the Astros will beat the Athletics. I think the Indians will beat the Rangers. I think the Pirates will beat the Braves. I think the Pirates will beat the Braves. I think the Pirates will beat the Braves. Okay, great. I think the Mets will beat the Padres. I think the Dodgers will beat the Angels. I think the Village will beat the White Sox. I think the Mariners will beat the Tigers. I think the Cardinals will beat the Reds. I think the Royals will beat the Twins. I think the Rockets will beat the Brewers. And I think the Nationals will beat the Diamondbacks. We'll see the Pirates win tomorrow. We'll talk more about that in tomorrow's episode. But tonight, it's Game 2 of the NBA Finals between the San Antonio Spurs and New York Knicks. The New York Knicks took Game 1, but I think the San Antonio Spurs take Game 2. I think Victor Yamba has a big night tonight. I think St. Castle has a big night, and Darren Fox has a big night for them. I think they figure out, I think the Spurs and the new head coach, young head coach, I think they figure out the New York Knicks defense, and I think the San Antonio Spurs take Game 2, and even the series up like the Carolina Hurricanes did last night. But I don't know if it's going to be, I think it's going to be a close game, but I don't know how it's going to end. But I think the San Antonio Spurs take Game 2, and I think the San Antonio Spurs take Game 2. San Antonio's spread is a minus 6.5. Money line is New York at 185. The over-under is at 2.615 and minus 115. But I think San Antonio Spurs take Game 2. I don't see San Antonio losing both games at home. And I think the New York Knicks finally suffered their first loss in over a month in the NBA playoffs. But we'll see. I just hope for a good game and a good finish. That's all I really hope for. But I think the San Antonio Spurs will win. And I think Victor Yamba, Castle, Champagny, and Darren Fox will have a really big game for the San Antonio Spurs tonight to help the San Antonio Spurs take Game 2. Last night, the Texas Longhorns, hooked them horns, beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and now the Texas Longhorns are back-to-back Women's World Series champs. Congratulations to the Texas Longhorns. Congratulations to the Texas Longhorns. West Virginia is winning 11-2 in the top of the 8th. I think it's going to be Cal Poly. I think UNC will beat USC. I think Troy will beat LR. I think Auburn will beat Ole Miss. Texas won 4-1 last night. Texas won series 2-0. The Texas Longhorns are 33-25. They won 4-1. Martinez grounded into Henry home run, and El Gardy singled to left. Congratulations to the Texas Longhorns, the number 2 seed in the Women's World Series, and they won that. I think West Virginia will win. I think Troy beat Little Rock. I think Auburn beat Ole Miss, and I think North Carolina beat USC. Thank you for watching Stache Sports. This is another episode of Stache Sports. I have not seen any Steelers breaking news. However, if I do, I'll either put in tomorrow's episode to have a part 2 this long episode already. But thank you for sticking through and watching Stache Sports. It's going to be interesting to see, like I said earlier in the video, Chicago does move to Indiana, but like I said, it's not that far. It's just like the Giants and Jets and East Rutherford, New Jersey. But thank you for watching every episode of Stache Sports. This is Stache. Thank you, Stache, for watching every episode of Stache Sports. If you have any comments, please leave them down below, and I'll try to comment back. But thank you for watching every episode of Stache Sports. This is Stache Sports signing off.